Hi everyone. Today we are honored to join by Dr. Neel Bhatvadekar, a globally accomplished periodontist whose academic and clinical journey is truly inspirational for dental professionals aspiring to pursue higher education abroad. Dr. Neel sir is an alumnus of Nair Hospital Dental College, Mumbai, and holds a master's in periodontology from a prestigious University of North Carolina in USA. He also holds advanced degrees in biomedical engineering from University of Florida and public health from UNC Chapel Hill. Impressively, he's the first diplomat of American Board of Periodontology to be practicing in India. And as India's first ITI fellow and a registered ITI speaker, he brings a rare combination of surgical expertise, academic rigor, and global insight. His work as a reviewer for Journal of Periodontology and Journal of Oral Implantology further underscores his commitment to advancing dental science. He is also a key opinion leader for a multiple international implant and graft companies and holds dual dental license in USA and India. Currently, he is practicing in Pune at Claris Dental Specialty. Dr. Neel sir clinical interests lie in implantology, mucogingival surgery, and periodontal bioengineering. So, in today's session, we'll uncover the path to studying periodontics in US and understand the key steps involved for international dentists and gather valuable advice for aspiring applicants. Whether you are a dental student or a young dentist planning to pursue specialization abroad, this conversation promises deep insights and actionable guidance. So let's dive in. So, my first question to you is, what inspired your decision to pursue an MS in periodontics in the USA? And was there a turning point or a specific exposure that motivated you to take this international route?
It's an excellent question. I think you touch on a very important point, which is the turning point. You know, we all have turning points in our lives, as you rightly said. And I think for me, the path actually was quite clear at the end of my BDS in Nair that I had a lot of interest in dental implant surfaces. Which means that I wanted to explore how cells interact with dental implant surfaces. Now, at that point in time, which was many, many years ago, we didn't have much of infrastructure around, even in Bombay, where this kind of research was being done. So I actually spent 6, 8 months at IIT Bombay as a research fellow, and I was very fortunate to have a mentor in Dr. T.R.R. Mohan, who was at IIT Bombay. And it was basically more of an explorate, an exploration per se, to see whether that's a field that I really have interest in before I dive deep into it. So I realized that yes, I do, and I applied for a master's in bioengineering, actually. Now, the unique part of this bioengineering master's was that this was in Florida, the University of Florida, and this was a joint master's in between three schools, the School of Dentistry, School of Engineering, and the School of Bioengineering. So it was going to give me a very comprehensive view. And also one of my mentors there would be Dr. Kenneth Anusabis, who, if you, all of you who have read Dental Materials, he's the editor of that famous book. But all of this was driven towards dental implants, not towards dental materials as we know them in our BDS days. So after finishing that degree, I knew that I wanted to now look at the clinical application of everything that I had studied, which was hence, the application of dental implants, application of bone grafts. I also actually had the good fortune of doing an internship with a company called Tutogen Biomedical, which made bone grafts, and I did a lot of intensive studying, research work with them. All of this was within a span of about a year and a half in Florida. And then I knew I wanted to look at the clinical applications of it. Hence, then the next journey started, which was applying for my periodontology master's. because in the US, the main specialty that actually does implants and a lot of bone grafting is periodontics. Maxillofacial surgery deals mainly with implants in traumatic cases or cases where there's a lot of massive bone defects that exist, or post cancer patients, for example. So I knew that the surgical path which I wanted was periodontics, and I think hence the turning point. To answer your question, the turning point that I had was actually the realization at the University of Florida that I had a great interest in assimilating engineering within clinical science, and that is what spurred my way ahead.
So how did you prepare your application for US program, and which parts like INBD scores, clinical experience, SOPs, interviews were the most challenging or important?
So Anisha, this was the time before internet was widely used. I don't look that old, but it was quite some time ago when internet wasn't that didn't have all the information that it has today. So one myth which I want to dispel is that you actually do not require NBDE scores at the time of application to master's programs. In fact, some of the top master's programs do not require NBDE scores. NBDE scores are required for DDS applications. NBDE scores are required for licensure purposes. So, in fact, in my career path, I actually gave my NBDE exams in the second year and third year of my residency, which is the Periodontics Residency, because I wanted to have the option of having a US license, which I got. So I didn't actually have NBDE scores when I applied. I had GRE. Now, GRE forms a very basis for some of these programs because you're applying for graduate level scholarships. Um, and there are scholarships available in India as well as in some of these top schools. So some of the top programs in the US will have tuition stipends or tuition waivers or research assistantship positions available. Some things have changed over the years, but a lot of that information is available on the ADA, American Dental Association website. So each program will have a specific page. And I would, since you're asking about preparation, exam preparation or SOPs, the first thing that applicants should do is look at the ADA website because a lot of this information is actually there. Now, as regards SOPs, interviews, yes, of course, they're all required. And interviews form a very important part of you getting in because, as I said, the top three, four programs in every specialty are highly competitive, which means you're actually applying or competing with US graduates who have done DDS programs there. So for them to be able to give you a seat, you have to have something different that you bring to the table. And what that means is some perspective in your CV, which is unique. You have to have obviously very high scores. For example, if you're doing a GRE score, you need to have a pretty good GRE. NBDE these days, like I said, some schools require it, some don't. So SOPs, research background or research publications, and then finally your interviews when you actually are at the second stage of the interview. That's actually what matters in you getting in.
Is US clinical experience or externships essential before applying for an MS in Perio? And how can Indian students strengthen their profiles if they haven't had US exposure yet?
That's again a great question. So it's not mandatory. I would not say US experience is mandatory. But one way in which it can help is it can help bring you in touch with people. So if you're, let's say, doing an externship or a short stay in a particular university where you're planning on applying, it actually gives you the opportunity of meeting those individuals. Now, when I had applied, I had not done that. I did not know people there in those particular programs. But what I did have going for me was I already was in a master's program in the bioengineering program from a very good school, which is University of Florida. So that added a lot of weightage to my application. I already had research publications. I already had been at IIT Bombay, and had a publication that stemmed out of it. So that all of these make a difference, because I think one big thing that a lot of the BDS candidates lack is they have nothing to write on their CV besides the fact that they have a BDS. Whereas the same DDS applicant from US will have two, three publications. They would have done some community service. They would have gone somewhere and done something else. They will already be having a BS undergraduate degree from somewhere where they have done some other research. So this is how BDS applicants can strengthen themselves, even if you don't have US experience, is ensure you have publications. You have some good publications in journals which are listed on PubMed. And also keep in mind that good journals on PubMed will actually not charge you. This is another myth. Someone had asked me that, do you need to pay for publications? And absolutely not. If someone is asking you to pay, it's a scam. So good publication houses will never ask you to pay. So you need to have a good research project that can get published. So try and do something in your BDS. It's very much possible. And nowadays, private colleges, other colleges have infrastructure. They just don't have students who use the infrastructure, unfortunately. So that is something that you definitely should be able to do when you're preparing for your journey.
So what does the academic and the clinical curriculum of US-based periodontics residency typically look like across 3 years? And how is it different from MDS program in India, sir?
So again, great question, Anisha. I think the main thing to keep in mind is that the textbooks, the curriculum is going to be similar. Okay, because most of the textbooks or curriculum that we have in India at the MDS level are textbooks which are from the US. They're all US, or most of them are US authors, or they are Scandinavian, some of them. So the textbooks are pretty much identical. The issue or the problem lies in the fact that in India, in Indian graduate programs, you are told or taught to follow the book. In the US, you are asked or told to question the book. Okay, and that makes a huge difference. What that means is you are taught to question what you're reading. Here, it is as if you are told that you should never question, just follow what's in the book. And that's what everyone has done in BDS. No one has lateral thinking. No one thinks outside the box. No one questions, why is it like this? Why don't we do it in a certain fashion? So some of the problem may lie also perhaps in the faculty, in whichever particular college that the person might be going to, that the faculty have a hierarchy, and the students are being told to not question. And the second part of it is that the students often bring forth the same thing that they have been doing in BDS, which is not questioning anything, reproducing identically what the textbook says, and that is how they get marks. But that is not how real life works. Because if you want to be a successful clinician, you want to be something that you're creating a niche for yourself. You need to step outside the box and do something different, and you need to understand why it is being done in a certain fashion. So this, I think, is the primary difference between US education and US higher education and education here in India. Having said that, I see that some things have changed over the years for the better, which is great. I think you have a lot of faculty now that have traveled the world and are aware of what other countries do, which was not quite the case maybe 15 years ago. Um, so that, I think, is the main difference. But wherever you are, whether you do a master's there or a master's here, I think it's important to make sure that you think through, you question, and you do a lot of lateral thinking to try and solve any problem.